It's
Sweet Release.
Sweet. Hello, you're listening to Sweet Release, where I, Menezies AKA Menz, have a brewski and a chinwag with some of my favourite hip-hop artists and discuss the lyrics, inspirations and motivations behind their latest release. On this episode, we have the one and only Swaz Benjamin, but before we have a chat, here's a cheeky taster of his new album, Sold Out Volume 1, Daze Gone Bye.
I change and rearrange it from lame to insanely better, from pain to pleasure, from waste to treasure, and I got more in store, etc. Summer days, they blaze away, sand through our hands like an hourglass, please don't waste it. Let me relate some ancient wisdom. Nature will never follow the people. People always have to follow the laws of nature. Let me relate. Follow the laws of nature. Let me relate. Is it too late? Days gone by. Awake and I tell it goodbye. By the way, these days are the future, so I say hi, cause the future has arrived. Days gone by. Awake and I tell it goodbye. By the way, these days are the future, so I say hi, cause you're tuning in live. Yeah, the future is upon us. I promise my microphonics and sonnets, I'll bring them to you honest. So hear my jewels, just a cool spiritual vehicle.
Now, when people listen to hip-hop artists, they judge them on a variety of different categories. Flow or delivery, lyrics, i.e. punchlines, the message, rhyme schemes, as well as production. All are important in their own right, but what grabs my attention the most is just pure smoothness. It's a combination of those things that makes you feel at ease. Sure, not every artist shoots for that, but I feel it can be the difference between someone feeling you're ranting at them or making someone look at themselves through the music you've created. And smoothness is something that's always struck me about Swaz Benjamin's music. There's beautiful stories, inspiring messages that don't beat you over the head, and most of all, the secret's out. He's just a fucking top bloke. Swaz, thanks for being on the podcast, mate.
How you doing, man?
Very, very well.
Mr. Menz?
How's your bloody life?
Life, Jesus, straight into the
Straight to the deep of it. Straight to the core, mate.
I didn't know I was coming for the counselling session, mate, but
and how does that make you feel?
no, life's good. Life's good. It's great to get the album out.
Yes. How was the response to that?
The response has been pretty steady. It was very good initially.
Yeah.
Now I need more people to get around it again.
Yeah, I feel you.
Now how it is. It's just on the Bandcamp at the moment, so I haven't got it on the streaming services or Apple Music or any of that stuff. That's coming like this week pretty much. So
awesome.
I'll get that. And then also the the vinyl is getting test pressed at the moment. So
vinyl, that's so exciting.
I'm stretching out my release a little bit, yeah. It's already been stretched out for quite a while because it was all pretty much mastered in January. I reflected on it when I got it all back, and I wanted to include some snippets of my family, conversations I'd had with my family. Yeah. I've been recording them on my phone.
I had noticed there was a lady that pops up.
Yeah, there's my mum. There's probably my mum there, and there's both of my grandmothers are on there as well.
Yeah,
but my mum has a couple of long spiels on there.
Did they enjoy being on the album?
I think. I don't think my nan's just been told that both my nans have been told that they're on there. They don't really know.
Yeah, that's fair.
They're just like, oh yeah, that's nice.
Have they listened through?
I think my auntie's played one of my nans a few tracks. So
yeah.
I think she's a fan. I think she's a fan.
Yeah. I don't think you swear in the whole album.
There's a couple.
Is there a couple cheeky
There's
ones?
a couple. In fact, they definitely heard one of them because I know that someone I got feedback to say, "Oh, you said bitch in that track," or maybe you said shit as well. So
how dare you?
Can't escape it.
Look, that's the end of the podcast right now. Here I was thinking I was, interviewing the one clean rapper in Tasmania. You just disappointed me.
Unfortunately, there's a little bit of taint there.
The opening line on the album, my music, mastered, finished.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah.
How did it feel when you finally released the project, and what is the significance of that opening line?
Yeah, that's just because this has been a long time coming, really. So I didn't know whether to put that on there or not, and then I just went, nah, that feels right. Kind of just breaks down into a simple phrase that, yeah, it's complete. And because every step of the way, man, you know, it can get dragged out. That's why I had that mastered.
Yes.
The mastering. So the masterings of it was a big process as well, because I was being a bit fussy. And then, because
who mastered the project?
It's Crystal Mastering in Melbourne.
Okay.
I didn't cut any. This is the thing. I didn't cut any corners with this album.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did everything long way and learnt all the steps.
You did it right.
How to do it.
And it's your product.
Yeah, I haven't cut corners. I put the resources that I had into it.
Yeah.
And I was fussy.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So that's what it is. My music mastered, finished. But it's still going. It's still, hopefully you're still playing it everywhere.
I remember last year I was over at AO's and we'd just done some work on the cycle. Yeah. And he handed me a USB to borrow, and he said, "Oh, I've got to check that first." So he put it in his computer and checked it, and it had all the demos for your album on there. And so I was like, "Oh, better delete those.
Yeah.
This must be one of Swaz's USBs he left behind." And I took the USB home, and I thought, "Oh, I should use a recovery program." And listen, that's how excited I was. It's how I knew I was excited. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I knew I had to wait. I knew I had to wait like everybody else.
You didn't listen?
I didn't listen.
Ooh.
I didn't do it. Because I trusted you, and I wanted you to trust me.
I appreciate that, man.
So when that album dropped...
Now I know I can.
I'm glad. The album was produced predominantly by Hefner. How did you guys come together to work on the project?
So my cousin, Luminous Inc.
Is he your cousin?
He's my second cousin.
I had no idea.
In fact, we're here in Blackman's Bay. I spent a lot of time with him around this area, So, he was living in Melbourne. And we were working on songs together. I went over to record in the studio there in Oakley in Melbourne. And I really, the guy who was the studio engineer there, JD, is a fucking legend. Got along really well with him. And then I was sort of like, I'm always looking for beats, JD. Is there any like producers coming through here? They got a sampler or something, and he gave me a couple of different samplers, and Hefner's really stood out to me. It was kind of like, it was very diverse, had a really diverse sound, and I could tell that he was just really versatile in his production. I liked a couple of beats on there, and I bought one of the beats off the sampler, and then I said to him, hey, I'm working on these other projects. I've been collecting sounds from friends who are producers, and also a couple of SoundCloud producers that I'd come across on SoundCloud. And I'd like bought stems off them pretty cheap, and just other friends have been giving me beats, and I had heaps of sounds that I've been working on and getting my raps on them. But they all needed a little bit of a lift, I felt. Yeah. So I thought I knew that he'd be the guy who could give it that extra touch.
Yep. So he touched up some of those.
So he he only exclusively produced maybe 2 or 3 tracks on there. The rest of them were already tracks that I had kind of like the samples for. And whatnot already, and so then he just, he said, "Yep, I can do that. We can work on that." And took it from there. He liked what I was doing with it, and we just kept going. And we're still going to this day. Yeah. It's very like we're in different states, and it's not his mate. Like he's more into kind of sort of more trappy influence stuff and things like that.
I had a look on his website today. They were calling it thrash.
Yeah, they look there, thrash. Yeah. Yep, that's the genre that they're trying to push. They're going their own lane with that, but he enjoys doing this. It's kind of like we're giving like a bit of touch up to sort of boom bappy and soul based stuff, but then him giving it that sort of modern spin on things. And we're all conscious of making kind of song structures rather than just having 4-bar loops and just rapping over loops, which has got. That's great. I love doing that too, and that's especially a really good developmental type of thing to do for rappers, I think, and it's foundation. But we were really conscious of like putting bridges in.
There were some beautiful breakdowns.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks, man. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to get a flow going of a song. We wanted to do some songwriting.
Yeah. Who else was involved in the production of the album?
So also, I Am Mo, which is Momo from Diafrix. That's his production name.
That's chorus in track 4.
Yeah,
Nature
so he does the chorus
phenomenal.
on that. So yeah, that was like he he did that a couple of times. Like, again, he's in Melbourne. Was in Sunshine Recorder in Melbourne. I recorded with him there. I got the opportunity to go there. I met him. I got his contact through Omar Musa. She's, Omar coming down here with his spoken word and spending. He loves Tassie. And then through him, and then he put me on to. I'd met him a few times. Chasm from astronomy class. Yeah. I was in Sydney, and I went to the studio with him once, and whatever, and we chopped it up, and then I presented that track to him, and I said, "You know Momo, don't you?" Because I just thought in my mind this would be really good for Momo to get on there, and he put me in contact with him, and then he did the hookup. But he did it initially, and then I was like, "Yep, that's sweet, it's done." And then about a month later, he's like, "I redid it, and it's better," and that's what it is there now.
So I was like, "Oh, such a beautiful chorus." It's so good.
I wrote the lyrics on it. Yeah. It was a little bit longer, and we edited it down. And he kind of edited it himself a bit.
You were saying when you and I were talking before the podcast, you had a mate from Tanzania do some production?
Yes, as well. He is also one of the producers on that. So that track, initially that came from him.
Okay.
So that's from Bunduki, AK-47, Edris. And so he sent me that. He just sends me beats. We're just mates. We just WhatsApp drops me some beats he's working on. I'm like, this is fire.
They're the best kind of friendships, man. They're the best kind of friendships.
Send me beats. Love it.
Make music with me, please.
So he sent me that initially, and I had the lyrics. I don't know when I had the lyrics written, but they were in my head when I heard that beat, and I just did it straight on there. Yeah. And I was like, right, this is it. We do it. But it saw a lot of metamorphosis, that track. It went through different producers. It was kind of got messy, to be honest, because people weren't too clear what was going on, because I just got the initial beat, then I gave it to Hefner. It was a little bit harder actually when he did. The drums were a bit harder, and it was a bit more staunchish in a way. Okay. And then we went to the studio with Mo, and Mo kind of smoothed it out a bit more. And he did the bridge as well on the production there, and you hear his vocals in the background, and he played the keys on there. I actually left him in the studio. I went to get lunch. I'd done my verse, the first verse. I think I'd done my verse there, backing vocals, whatever, and went to take a lunch break. And I said, it'd be nice to get a bridge in there or something. And came back, and he'd done the bridge. Like, I was gone for an hour, and he's like, I did this. And he's like, let's just do some improv stuff over the top of it. And I was like, man, this is that's impressive.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You said earlier you're a bit picky with your beats, but it shows that you know what you like, because the album does have its own sound.
Yeah.
It's Swaz.
My marketing division will be happy with that.
Yeah. Well, because we've all kind of come up from the same place. Yeah. And it's beautiful to see people a little more further along in their hip-hop careers, and it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
We can all sound unique.
Man. I mean, this is what another. It took me a while, because Australian hip hop's been around for a while now, but I still feel like it's changing all the time, and to find out where you fit into it can take a bit of time. Yeah, like I listened to some of my earlier stuff, and I was definitely influenced by listening to Brad Strutt and Pressure, and just Hilltop Hoods, I guess, as well. But and then I remember I listened to a lot of Pegs, and I could tell that my style and the way that I was rhyming was heavily influenced by it. I remember people saying, "Oh, it just sounds like Brad Strutt," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know if I really want that in the long run, really." But they're like, "That's a compliment, man. He's like one of the best rappers in Australia." But I'm like, I want to try and find my own lane a bit here, though.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. No, it always seems to start out with some unconscious imitation.
Yeah. Which is bad, actually. I was talking to someone the other day, and I know you like Logic as well. Like, I heard a podcast with Logic talking about how he just records a massive amount of music.
He does.
And he does heaps of songs in the styles of all of his favourite rappers, or just not even his favourite, just all different rappers.
Yeah, right.
That, well-known rappers that have unique styles, and he tries to record songs in their style just to learn from them. And then just comes back to his own thing. Because you listen to, he's really versatile with the different flows that he can do.
Definitely. I think it was I haven't heard his latest album, but it was his second one after Under Pressure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bits where I'm like, Kendrick.
Yeah.
You are Kendrick. You are Kendrick.
Yes. I didn't actually think of that until a friend of mine said that the other day. he's like, man, Logic's just doing a lot of keyboard
Yeah.
stuff now. And I was like, oh. Maybe he got stuck when he was practicing. He got stuck
I
on that
think
key. He
so.
got stuck in the key.
I think so.
He might have thought that was the peak.
Yeah, well, that's the. If I listen to too much of someone, I can start sounding like them when I write.
Yeah.
I was just like, I love them, but I got to stop.
Yeah, I actually, to be honest, now in the last few years, I definitely balance what I listen to. I would only listen to 50% rap, I reckon. But I'll listen to quality, and I'll binge where I'll go hard on listening to it. But I have mixed in a lot of influence from different electronic music and soul and rootsy music, a bit of reggae. Just like the other night, we had this UK ting the other night, and so we were playing like drum and bass and trip hop and dub and garage and grime. I'm really into grime at the moment. Yeah. From a rhyming perspective. Yeah. They're very technically dexterous.
Yes, good word. Who would you say is your biggest influence outside of hip hop?
Oh man, Bob Marley.
Bob Marley. Yeah, I feel that.
That's it. Man, because he would bring personal and political and romantic and everything into one song. Yeah. And it's vibes, man. The whole world loves that guy. Like, you can't be angry when you listen to Bob Marley.
Yeah, it's true. All right, I've got to listen to some more Bob Marley. Yeah. Like, I've obviously heard Bob Marley, but I've never sit down and just, had a big joint and listen to some Bob Marley.
It goes on another level when you do that.
Yeah, I reckon. Back to the album, I'm a stickler for having tracks in the right order to keep a steady rising and falling of energy in an album, whether it be musically or just emotionally, which is perfect in the album, by the way. Fucking perfect. What was your approach when piecing the album together?
It is essentially, it's a concept album. The core of it is that there's tracks on there that elements of them were written a long time ago. Yeah. And I didn't know how to finish them. And it was still part of that finding my own voice and being confident to finish them in my own way as well. Yeah. And then just having the resources to be able to go to a good studio and finish off. The core tracks is like Coastal Lines, Joe and Mrs. They form this Daze Gone Bye theme. Okay. So they have 3 verses. Yeah. They're story tracks. Yeah. And then the last verse, it kind of sets the story up. And then the last verse, you have some sort of resolution or not, or some questions to be answered or whatever. It's been resolved, and the days or the confusion or whatever's happening in the story has gone by a little bit. Yeah. But it's also, obviously being rap, we like to do double entendres, so it's like it also alludes to the fact that it's taken time, and these things have, and the tracks and the content of the tracks is reflecting from like that like earlier youth.
Because it seems to be a big theme in the album is finding your way in the world.
That's youth a lot of the time. Yeah, and getting the confidence and finding yourself. Yeah.
Do you feel like you have found your way in the world?
Jeez, I've been talking it up.
Speaking to a younger man.
I've been talking it up.
Please tell me, Papa. Please.
I just feel like I've got to a point where it's not. I don't overthink things too much. Yeah. Want to strategize a bit. Something resonates with you. Yeah. Just keep pursuing it, and don't be okay. It's hard to know though, because sometimes there's obstacles, and you're like, "Is this obstacle trying to tell me something, or is this an obstacle I need to get around to go beyond?" Yeah. So I don't know. All I know is that I feel a lot of joy and a lot of contentment and a lot of love when I'm doing my music. Yeah. Sometimes it gets stressful. Yeah. But that's part of the flow of it. Then when you get to do those live shows, or
I suppose if it was always easy, we wouldn't do it, would we? Yeah. All right. Stop teaching me things, Swaz. All right. Calm down, mate. Writing process wise, how do you write a track?
Jeez. So like I said, those core kind of ones. Yeah. They took a while, but they were quite like parts of them were very quick to write out in those moments of inspiration, and you'd know what it's like when you can write a verse really quickly.
Yeah.
It just seems to flow out, and you might just adjust it a little bit. Sometimes you might not even need to adjust it, but a lot of the time it's not that easy either. So you do have to force yourself, and you're like, I'm banging my head against the wall here, and then you just keep just take a little break for a second, keep pushing a little bit more, and then, initially as well, when you're rhyming something fresh, I don't know if it's any good, but then eventually the flow comes together. That's how it happens for me anyway. Like, I'm like, I don't know if this is working very well, but maybe it just needs a few adjustments. And then it seems to, after a couple of days, it starts to fall into place and you start to memorize it. Yeah. And then you start to work on your flow more with it. And these days, actually, I'm trying to write a little bit more in my head.
Yeah. Okay.
And just an impromptu. Yeah. And kind of freestyling things. Yeah. Trying to add those elements.
Jay-Z on us, mate.
I got the same birthday as him, so.
Do you really? Yeah. Oh, the same star sign. I knew it. I bloody knew it.
No, it's not like traditionally. Usually, I've been a slave to the pad and the pen and agonising over. That's how I started. I thought the thing was probably good though. Like I used to agonise over the phonetics a lot and be switching words around everywhere. My pad would be really, really messy. I was always in awe of people who just have a really clean pad and they write a whole verse and then they rap it. I'm like, man, that's amazing because I've got to switch my shit around everywhere.
Oh, totally. I'm the exact same.
Yeah.
I'm the exact same.
Yeah.
I'm back in the early days sitting down with Reflect.
Yeah.
And I'd be sitting down crafting a verse for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And it'd be done in the first 15 minutes.
But like I said, then there are those moments where it falls into place and you get a stream of consciousness kind of verse that works really well. But there's all different things. Different things happen. But usually I'll be writing my verses so that they flowed phonetically well without a beat. So they got their own internal rhythm. So I don't need the beats. Because it took me a long time to find producers a lot of the time, and I didn't know how to produce for shit, really. I didn't have any equipment even. I started out playing guitar and rapping over the guitar, or just doing a cappellas, and occasionally someone with a half-assed beatbox might come through. Yeah. But I usually wrote my verses so they'd sound cool as an a cappella.
I like that. That's a good way to think about it because I've never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, that's how it's
I've always written to a beat.
This is the thing. Most of them, especially those tracks I'm talking about from a long time ago, they were written without beats. Yeah. And I didn't have beats for a long time, or I was being really picky. I had a mate of mine he produced Coastal Lines. Yeah, Coastal Lines is his baby, with the guitar and the keys. His name's Arts, Zaki. He's over in South Africa at the moment with his fam. I've got to shout him out. He'll tell you I was always really fussy with production because he'd be producing stuff for me, and I don't know whether it was him or me or whatever, it wasn't the right time or whatever. But eventually we got Coastal Lines through anyway. But we got Hefner in to give it the extra touch up. Yeah, I was writing a lot without beats. Yeah. And then now I write more with beats and I try to freestyle things over the beats a little bit as well to capture that real spontaneous kind of energy. It's more just freestyling sections in verses or just certain phrases that will pop up that you're feeling from the music.
But you got up the other night with Dundee and Spats and Freeze.
Yep. I was just trying to hide in the back with the hoodie on, and then all of a sudden the three guys on stage all just turned. I didn't even know they'd seen me at the venue at all, and all just turned towards me and were like, "Hey, Swaz,
get up here."
Up here.
There's a video of it on YouTube.
Is there?
Yeah, of all of it. And I'm drunkenly dancing horribly in the back of the stage.
Oh, man.
It is one of the most embarrassing videos in the world. But it's great. I'll send it to you.
I haven't seen it.
I'll put it in the link of the podcast.
I hope it's not too bad. Oh, shit.
You're great, mate.
Shit.
The first song I ever remember you playing at a gig when I was getting started was Traveller. And a big theme in the album is travel.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
So, where have I been? Oh, I travelled from Lauderdale today down here to Blackman's Bay across the city. Stopped in Kingo for
Blackman's
a nice
Bay, that sounds nice.
Indian. Had some Indian food in Kingo. Yeah. That's my most recent travels.
Okay.
But I'm getting ready soon to go to the UK as well. Yes. But let's wind it back. So the first time I went overseas was to Greece with my dad. A couple of times when I was 15, when I was 18, he had a rare plant nursery and we used to go over there and collect the plant seeds. So that was my first experience traveling. It wasn't very orthodox kind of holiday.
Were you allowed to bring those kind of seeds back?
At that stage, no one really seemed to care too much.
That's fair. That's fair.
So that'll do.
Yeah.
But he created a pretty big business around it for a while. But yeah, no, I think it's a little more tricky these days. But yeah, so that was my first travel. I've been reflecting on that a lot lately, and yeah, it was amazing because we weren't going to standard tourist places. We were like walking up in the mountains in Turkey and like hadn't seen anyone for 2 hours walking up a mountain, and then all of a sudden you hear these goat bells and some goats come around behind a tree, and then there's a shepherd walking along with his head wrapped up in a scarf and skin all dried up out in the sun for God knows how long, and he's just like, yep, what's going on? And he's so, what the hell? So those sort of travels, yeah. I like getting off the beaten track, but took me a while. Like I didn't go anywhere else until like 2009. I went to South America with two of my mates, Arts, Zach, who produced Coastlines, another mate of mine, Tomo. Yeah. We went to South America for 10 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was amazing, yeah. We lived in Peru, in this town, in this city called Arequipa. Yeah. Actually, it was really cool. Like, we used to, I was freestyling in the street with Peruvian rappers and impromptu guitar jams on buses, and some good time in Colombia. Yeah. We were in Colombia. We went to Brazil. Where else did we go? Chile very quickly, only a few days. And Venezuela. Went through Venezuela. That was pretty hectic there. Yeah. We got out of there pretty quick. I think I got dengue fever there.
You did?
Yeah. Never got it confirmed, but yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, what are the symptoms of that?
The really bad symptoms, which I didn't have, are like all of your joints feel like they're breaking, and you bleed from all of your orifices. So,
damn.
I didn't quite get to that level, thankfully.
Yeah, well, all right. That sounds like a great.
Could have been a good story, though.
Would have been a great story.
The story's still pretty good anyway. Yeah, so I don't think I got dengue fever.
You get the dengue fever tick, man.
Yeah,
tick.
I used to go there. There was only one. I used to have to go to the. I used to have to go to this. It was like the smallest capital in Brazil. It's like an almost Amazon state. This. It was actually this Amazonia state. So it was this city called Boa Vista. I used to have to go. They didn't have any beds for me, so I was really sick. Like, I was burning up with a really bad temperature, and then the embassy rang me or the consulate and said, if your blood platelets, I didn't know what blood platelets were, but normally they're at 220. Mine were at 80, and if they went below 80, if they went to 70 or below, then I was going to have a blood transfusion.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so, But thankfully they went back up when they went to 80. My friend came and told me that. He's like, they've been on the phone and... Yeah, if your blood platelets, you might have to get flown to Brasilia and have a blood transfusion. I was like, okay, cool. So I went and got my blood test the next day and went up to 120.
Awesome. So you're on the way out.
On the way, yeah. So, but there was only one doctor. I used to have to go there every day, and there was just for like a week or two, and there was only one doctor that could speak English. So and he'd only work like once or twice a week. So the other times I'd just sit there and they'd tell me in Portuguese how fucked up I was. And I was just like,
I don't know. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's all I know.
Just seemed to. I just was in the middle, I guess. Yeah. But he used to say to me, the guy who could speak, and he's like, "Kangaroo man, just look at it this way, kangaroo man. If you get the dengue once, you get the dengue twice, then you get the dengue 3 times. You can't get the dengue anymore." I'm like, "Oh, great." So I've got to get twice more, and you're not telling me that it gets worse every time. So anyway, yeah.
What do you get from?
Mosquitoes.
Oh, those little bastards.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right then.
Those little pricks, just such a tiny little thing. My mates were like, we're running out of money, man. We need to keep moving because we've got to get home now. Yeah. I'm like, I can't really speed up this healing of dengue.
Yeah. But they stuck around.
They stuck around. Eventually we actually went down part of the Amazon after that.
Yeah.
Sleeping in hammocks. So yeah, that's my big
why you're getting bitten by mosquitoes, mate.
Yeah, no, I was out. Put myself out there. But so that was my big trip, man. Like we went down the coast of Brazil. We were there like when Carnival was on. So I got that really that got me going with the travel bug. So I did a little bit of solo traveling that time. I went away for maybe a month or two by myself in that time, whereas the other guys were together and I'd meet back up with them. It's a different vibe, you know, traveling by yourself. So I did a bit of that. But then it took me quite a while again. I went to Tanzania for a few months, and that was really where I met... I was just telling you before we started, I didn't realise, like, there was this studio in my neighbourhood where I was staying there. I went and chased my ex-girlfriend over there. She got a volunteer position. I'd been working a lot and saved up some cash and just wanted to get out of it, get out of the work and get away for a while. Got over there, and she'd met some guy, said, we record music around the corner. She said, my boyfriend's coming and he does a bit of music. So sure enough, as soon as I got there, like the day after I landed pretty much, they were like coming round, like, you want to come and check the studio out? Like,
that's awesome.
Cool. So I went around the studio. It was pretty cool. It was like in this kind of like middle class, it was like dirt roads and stuff outside, but they had like a security guy on the gate. And it was like a middle or upper middle class house and then a studio off the side. It was like this guy's business, this family, like young family with this studio. And it was just this like Rasta kind of stoner studio engineer there called Crickston, and he was just always hanging out there. He was just blazing or working on beats all the time. There were guys just hanging around the yard. Went there one night, it was crazy. Everyone was getting really drunk, and there was like they were like tattooing in the yard, and just like people were recording at the same time, and there was like a barbecue on, and then it was all happening.
How do you feel like your travel has changed you, and how do you feel like that's influenced your music?
It's hard to know, really. Like, I definitely try to have a bit more of a universal appeal with my music. I still keep it Tasmanian.
Oh, hell yeah, you do.
And I still keep it Australian. But I performed randomly, like, to like 400 people in Tanzania at this one gig, and they were loving it. And I was like, man, this is such a trip. I didn't get any footage of it.
Oh, dude.
So bad. I didn't get any footage of it.
That's always the way, though.
So Pixar, it didn't happen, but... Yeah, I've got the memory there, so it just seems like another world. But so I guess being exposed to that type of thing, I just intrinsically trying to have a bit of a universal appeal with the music. Yeah, music's a vibe as well. That's another thing I've learned, and it transcends language. Even though we're dealing in a lot of language with rap.
No, I completely agree, though, because I can sometimes listen to some French hip-hop.
French hip-hop,
like,
man.
God damn, this is good. I've got no idea what they're talking about, but it's so good.
Yeah.
Track 1.
Yeah.
Constructs.
It's
a beautiful celebration of Tasmania.
Yeah.
And, when you mentioned the boat park.
And
because the first time I listened through, I was like, Bopar. What's a Bopar? And then I was like, boat park. Of course. I love the boat park. It's so good.
This is what we want on second. You know, there's different meanings on the second listen.
Yes.
It's not Bopar or faux pas, it's boat park.
Boat park. It's like, I love your cheeky braggadocio throughout the album. I don't know, when I hear people be braggadocious, half the time for me it's, fuck you. Fuck off. But when you do it, it's like, fair call. Fair call, Swaz.
I'm subtle with my brags, but I put them subliminal brags in there.
With the rhythm and the energy.
Yeah.
And Joe Citizen Jr., track 7.
Yeah.
How much did you draw from your own life and the people around you with that one?
Yeah,
because that's one of those core tracks.
That one took me a long time to finish it. It's a conglomeration of different influences or experiences that I've had with friends or people that I've known that use drugs in bad ways. When I'm talking about the island town, I almost wanted to keep this ambiguous, but it is. I grew up my early kind of years. I was in Glenorchy initially. Growing up, and then I moved to Bruny Island, and it's actually it was something happened to someone in Bruny Island. I didn't. They were a bit older than me, but I used to see them in the schoolyard a lot, and they were cool person. And he passed away from that was from petrol.
Oh damn!
Actually, and I didn't know how to talk about it or whether to finish it off with that. I ended up changing the end because it's basic. So it's it's ice has become a big thing. So I put that. I'd had experiences with knowing people that have been using it. So
I love that you left the end of the track open-ended.
Yeah.
Like you decide.
Yeah.
Where's it going?
Ultimately, even addiction or something is going to have to land with how you're going to deal with it.
Track 8, straight after, which I thought was beautiful. It ends on You Decide in Joe Citizens Jr. And then the next track is how you deal with those problems and those emotions through music.
Yes.
And I was like, that's so beautiful. You've literally
asked
a question and you've answered it straight away.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I...
They had to go together. I'm glad you picked up on that.
Oh,
man.
mate, yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, it's speaking. Those tracks are motivating myself, and I'm talking. And I'm talking to others as well. If you get something out of it, but I'm talking to myself as well. Yeah. The opening lines on Daze, I did right after I'd seen one of my friends. And I was a bit worried about them. Yeah, where they were going with things. Yeah.
The album is full of positive messages and life lessons, despite what I know you've been through. You've been through some hard times with your father passing away.
Yeah.
How did that affect you and your music?
I had the vision for my album.
Yeah.
And most of the tracks already done kind of before my old man was sick.
Yeah, okay.
So, and I didn't know how to put something on there to talk about what was going on with him that much. But there are tracks, even the title track.
Yeah.
The title track was entirely written when my dad wasn't very well, but I was still trying to be positive. My take on, I guess, I was trying to preempt, regardless of what happens, I'm going to have to find positivity anyway, and that's what my dad would want. Yeah. So
I think that's the overwhelming message of the album.
Yeah,
finding positivity.
Yeah,
I think you've done it beautifully.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. That track, Daze Gone By, the first verse, I wrote that when I was with him in Melbourne when we were trying to get... He had melanoma. Yeah. We were trying to get treatment in Melbourne, get on a trial. Yeah. And I wrote that while I was there. And I was saying like that I kept my pain under the surface. And I just kept putting on a strong front. Yeah. And that's how I got through. Yeah. And no matter what I'm going to do my old man proud anyway, and finish the album up.
What are you working on at the moment?
At the moment, so I've had these like acoustic tracks around for a long time, which I'm just working on and off when I can find the time. But I've been trying to get AO involved. I was supposed to try and record with him yesterday, actually, but he think got a little bit cooked on Friday when we had a bit of a thing at the poo bar.
That was partly your responsibility.
Yeah, so I can't hate it with that because it definitely was. He had a really good set that he did with Dan there, so I think he was pretty pumped on that. So because I know like if I can't play something that well. He's there.
Oh, AO is just a guitar wizard.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to see him every time.
I'd like to record some guitar with AO, but like, if maybe it's not coming off that well, you could probably replay it. So, because that's what I was saying, that's how I kind of started doing songs. That's how I started doing raps, was rapping over the guitar, and I'd be around my mate's house, they'd be like, all right, let's hear your new shit. And I'd have to get the guitar to do a kind of loop on the guitar. Yeah. So I've got a bunch of tracks, and most of them are versions of tracks from Daze Gone By, but they're like completely different when they're done acoustically. Yeah. They're not like do an acoustic version. Yeah. They're like a completely different acoustic version, even sometimes with a verse taken off or different chorus. But generally the same, a lot of the same lyrics. Yeah. And then there's a few that are exclusive acoustic ones as well. Yeah. So I've got to do those at some stage. But that's kind of been put to the side at the moment while I start working on, I'm doing Sold Out Volume 2.
Oh, damn.
So, but I just kind of didn't want to announce that now because God knows how long it's going to take.
Yeah,
but I've got like 4 tracks that I'm working on at the moment, and one that I'm seriously working on and about to record, and then have it as a single when I come back to do the vinyl launch here.
Awesome.
For the Daze Gone By vinyl.
Awesome. I can't bloody wait.
So I'm going to have that single done. I'm going to go and record that next week.
Awesome.
Start recording it.
Where are you recording?
I'll record at the Cabin which is where Hefner is based at, which
Up
is
in Melbourne.
it's in Port Melbourne, which is his mate Kwasi, who he usually does. They're assigned to Waves Records as a duo. Yeah. They that's at Kwasi's place. It's just a cabin out the back of his rental. Awesome. And yeah, it's sweet though. Like it's a vibe there. Yeah. So I'll go and record with him.
Well, I think we might leave it there, man.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming on the podcast. Where can people find your music?
Yeah, so I was saying at the moment it's just on the Bandcamp for the digital album, 10 tracks, and you can do the vinyl pre-order there as well. Yeah. Which is, the vinyl's a 10-inch vinyl, and it's got those core tracks on there. Yeah. Yep. Plus it's got Daze Gone Bye as the opener, and then Formed is the other one, which is the closer, but it's got the 3 core tracks, Joe, Coaster, Mrs. The vinyl also comes with all 10 mastered instrumentals from the album.
Cool.
All 10 mastered acapellas.
Oh, no way.
I'm going to have remixes. There's a few guys, mainly some local guys, remixing it at the moment.
So these downloadable content that'll come with the vinyl?
Yeah, I'll probably have them on USB, or I'll just get the link to the Dropbox. But just pre-order the vinyl and I can get in contact with you because I've got your email and I'll email you that. Initially, when you get that pre-order vinyl, though, you get the full album digitally as well. So it's on swzmusic.bandcamp.com. I will endeavour this week to get everything on streaming services.
Awesome.
And also, Apple Music and all that jazz. So, yeah.
Exciting times. Thank you very much. Swaz Benjamin.
Thanks for having me. Shout outs to everyone.
Ooh, it's swzmusic.bandcamp.com. Bloody sweet release.
Sweet.
It's sweet release.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Sweet Release episode bloody 1. How exciting. You can find more info on the podcast and the show notes on sweetrelease.com. Some people have already asked me why they called it Sweet Release with an SH. It was originally going to be called Sweet Release, but I looked it up. And there's another podcast with Sweet Release in the title that's about something completely different. So I thought, fuck it, Sweet Release. It sounds funny. It makes me laugh. I feel like it also shows that for me, it's fun. This is a fun project. And it's me doing what the fuck I want and interviewing amazing artists that I love. So fucking deal with it. I've recorded the outro for this podcast a couple days after I did the interview with Swaz, and you might be noticing my voice sounds a little deeper. That's because I'm horribly sick. So I would just like you all to take 1 second to be grateful for your good health, because I feel like a brick has tried to fuck me in the temple. This is a horrible, horrible time, but we push forward. Next episode, which should be dropping in a few weeks, I've got Infant Treats from Brisbane. We're going to be chatting about their new drop, the Brewery mixtape. If you want to get ahead and have a listen to the Brewery mixtape before we chat about it on the next episode, you can check it out on emphanttreats.bandcamp.com. That's emphanttreats.bandcamp.com. Subscribe and rate the podcast if you're an iTunesy person. That does make a massive difference. We're going to finish off the podcast with the track Daze Gone Bye by Swaz Benjamin off the new album. But before we do that, here's some cheeky words from some other artists down here in the Tassie scene and how they feel about Swaz's music. Peace.
Oh, g'day. Chunky from Odd Ones Out. Just want to say a few words about Swaz Benjamin's freshest drop, Sold Out Volume 1. Absolute killer vibes, start to finish, well produced, a lot of polish. You can tell the time that's gone into the lyrics and the recording and production of it. For a local Tassie release, it's one of the best I've heard. Swaz Benjamin, what a beast, what a bloke, what a legend.
Hey yo, it's Nibs. Swaz put me on some of the first hip-hop gigs that I ever did, you know, Pooh Bar gigs that we did with Swishbank. You know, Swishbank's really iconic, like, part of my hip-hop career. I remember watching them and being inspired because Swaz has quite a presence about him. Him and his flow and his content are what bring the crowd in. You can legitimately sit there and listen, and I swear you feel like you're learning something. And actually you do learn a lot from a Swaz set. and just Swaz's songs in general, like, very good quality. I have a lot of respect for Swaz.
Yeah, what I like about Swaz and his music is that it's really, really intricate. Every aspect of it. The flow, the lyrics, even the beats that he picks are really, really intricate. Every piece of music he does is well thought out and put together.
This is so incredibly revitalising.
Oh, my love.
Days gone by, awake and I tell it goodbye. By the way, these days are the future, so I say hi, cause the future has arrived. Days gone by, awake and I tell it goodbye. By the way, these days are the future, so I say hi, cause you're tuning in live.
Yeah, the future is upon us. I promise my microphonics and sonnets, I'll bring them to you honest. So hear my jewels, just a cool spiritual vehicle in your city lyrical. Man, I'm driven like fossil fuels to bring my heaven sent messages to the residents like the apostle Paul. Miracles smitten to crystallize your obstacles, imperial. I conquer fear and other imposters. I bust them and watch them fall. By staying on my grinds, I cost until I stomp them all. Do impossibles, never fall. As I take a stand against the fake scams in the wasteland of ideas that bleed us dry here by concocting a long list of classic plots like Jane Austen. To counteract the whack and raise the standard, I take your bandwidth, I capture it like a chess piece. So I'm abandoned and you're abandoned, and now the listeners are with the band kid, and this is just me firing up on all cylinders like a Koenigsegg CCX 6 speed on the highway of life, saying goodbye to the vice and the hype from all sides. Cause in these days and times to prosper and survive, more than what you back, you got to take stock of what you got inside you and what's your mind.
Let the fathers, the mothers, the sisters, the brothers, the lovers and others thrive. Days gone by, days gone by. Let the fathers, the mothers, the sisters, the brothers, the lovers and others thrive. Days gone by, 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 days gone by.
I nurse my pain under the surface, kept disdain for, but I switch, maintain, embrace change when pages turn. Don't stick to scripts, reclaim the flame, make waves, create new lanes with my wits on the edge. But I know the ledge, won't let it slide, can't let it slip. Pressurized till I grind and shine for better things. Some hell of scenes, still mesmerized with life's good vibes despite malevolence. And let the storm run its course, not off to perform, but I let the winds lift my wings and settle in. Knowing I'm set to win this time, calling all aboard for the ride. My train of thought has arrived. At the end, hope I said all things that I need to say. My actions displayed, until then, I penetrate into this universe with trust and faith. Summoning love, it's rumbling up and the sun has come of age. But hey, wait, still on an infinite quest, so I dig deep to be free to the next. In this life, I need to connect with people who are real to death, with the will to build afresh. Link with the team at the best, key to success. And if we click, then we click. Yes.
Days gone by, days gone by. Awake and I tell it goodbye. By the way, these days are the future, so I say hi, cause the future has arrived. Days gone by, awake and I tell it goodbye. By the way, these days are the future, so I say hi, cause you're tuning in live, come on now. Yeah, you're tuning in live, come on now. And you're tuning in live, come on now. You're tuning in live, and you're tuning in live, come on. Days gone by, days gone by, days gone by. You're tuning in live.
Just go out on the street.
It's sweet release.